Hey, what's going on, people? Hope you guys are doing good. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this. This is the Galaxy Book Odyssey. So what it does is it tries to combine the best of having a work laptop as well as a laptop that you can game on. So it borrows the Galaxy Book name from something like this, which is the Galaxy Book 360. This laptop I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite laptops of 2021. I did a lot of my productivity work on it, like typing up documents, checking emails, stuff like that. And overall, it's just a fantastic laptop with excellent build quality. And then it borrows the Odyssey name, as you can see the Odyssey logo right here, which is Samsung's gaming side of things. So it has the power to get some gaming in on this laptop. And in this video, we're gonna find out if it strikes a good balance between work and play, because it is a really weird laptop. But you know what's not weird? Protecting your data and all of your private information with this video's sponsor, Bitdefender, especially with all of the data breaches that have happened these past few years. You need to take this seriously. Bitdefender Total Security is an all-in-one suite that will protect your devices, improve performance, and enhance your privacy. On the performance side, Total Security offers Autopilot, which acts as a security advisor to give deeper insights in your security posture. It has advanced smart capabilities to recommend security actions in context of your system needs and usage patterns. Bitdefender Photon is an exclusive total security feature that adapts to your system's hardware and software configuration to save system resources and computing power to maintain the highest level of system performance. The newest version of Total Security builds on previous iterations by improving some of my favorite features, including real-time data protection, vulnerability assessments, and even a better VPN experience. Data breaches, cybersecurity hacks, and private information leaks are very serious. Take it from me, as I've had my information stolen before, and it was a painful process to get everything sorted out. If you want to make sure this doesn't happen to you and you want to support the channel, make sure to hit up the link in the description to learn more about Total Security. You can sign up today for an extended 120-day free trial. This means it won't cost you a thing, and by signing up, you're supporting the work I put into each of these videos. So this is the box that the Galaxy Book Odyssey comes in. Inside the box, you get this wall outlet cable. You also get this pretty beefy 135 watt power brick. The great thing is it's USB-C, so if you happen to have a Samsung smartphone or tablet, this is capable of charging it, as well as your other USB-C devices. You also get this little tiny envelope with some paperwork. It's barely anything, but it is included in the box. And of course, last but not least, we get the laptop itself. When it comes to the build quality of the Galaxy Book Odyssey, I think it's pretty good. Is it the best out there? No, I think Razer and Dell's XPS lineup really nail the build quality when it comes to Windows laptops. This isn't bad though. It's made of a solid aluminum enclosure. You can see there is a little bit of flex right here on the lid. And if we flip it over to the back side, there's a little bit of flex back here as well. And if we open it up and go to the keyboard, you can see it's pretty solid with only a slight bit of flex. So overall, it's a really well-built laptop. And I do think that it is a step right below maybe the XPS 13 or 15. But I don't think anybody's gonna be disappointed overall with the build quality of this laptop. In terms of its size, it's actually a hefty laptop. You can see here next to the 15-inch Microsoft Surface Laptop 4, it's quite a bit thicker and it's just overall wider. And if we look at it compared to the MacBook Pro 16-inch, the newest one, the 2021 model, it is still thicker than that laptop, and that's a big boy. It also weighs just over 4 pounds, so it's got quite a bit of heft to it, but it doesn't feel bad. It actually feels really, really solid. Looking at the port selection over here on the right-hand side, we have a micro SD card slot, which is kind of weird, but we'll talk about that when we get into content creation. We have a headphone jack, we have a Ethernet port, 2 USB Type-A ports, these are Gen 2 ports, and a Kensington lock. Over here on the left-hand side, we have a few more ports. We have a USB Type-C port, which is used for charging and for data transfers. This is not Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4. This is just a Gen 2 USB-C port. We have an HDMI 2.0 port, another USB Type-A port, and then finally an additional USB-C port that again is just a Gen 2 port, no Thunderbolt on board. If you're wondering if this laptop can be opened with a single hand, there you go. You can see it opens up nice and easy, so it passes the single hand opening test. And inside we have this nice keyboard. It's a full size keyboard with a number pad included, which is nice, something that you normally don't see on 15-inch laptops. My only complaint is with this number pad, everything seems a bit cramped. I'm not really a fan of how cramped this keyboard is, but it does do the job, and after a while I did get used to it. The Galaxy Book Odyssey's power button doubles as a fingerprint scanner, so if I turn the laptop on, you can see it automatically scans my fingerprint and logs me in. It's really fast, it's nice and responsive, and I haven't had any issues with the fingerprint scanner. I'm gonna go ahead and give you an example of what the keyboard sounds like, as well as how much travel you can expect. Personally, the keyboard's a little bit too squishy for me. I do like how quiet it is. It just doesn't give me the tactile feedback that I prefer from my keyboards. But I think most people are going to enjoy it, especially with the number pad over here. I just find it to be a little bit cramped and it just doesn't give me the tactile input that I like. The trackpad, however, is great. It's using Windows precision drivers and it also has a nice tactile click, as you can hear, and it's very responsive and it works and functions beautifully. Taking a look at the display here, we have a 15-inch 1080p 60Hz display. It looks nice. It is a matte display, so if I turn the flashlight on my phone here, you can see there's no glare. It has that matte look to it. A couple things about the display that I've noticed is A, it's not that accurate. You're gonna need something like this, a color or display calibrator, in order to get the most out of it. When I was doing some content creation, video editing, and photo editing, I would export clips or photos and then view them on mobile devices like my Galaxy S21 Ultra or my iPhone, and I realized that the exported photo or video on the laptop just didn't look the same on a mobile device. And believe it or not, those mobile displays are much more color accurate than this panel, but once you calibrate it, it'll get the job done. Viewing angle wise, I think the display is quite good, especially for a matte style display. As you can see, there's not that much color shift. Everything pretty much stays on point. Like, I was really impressed with the off-axis viewing capabilities of this laptop. You can see it's here. Not a whole lot of color shift happening. Of course, there is the typical dimming, but overall, it's pretty impressive. So according to the tech specs, this does support HDR10 content. However, with a peak brightness of 300 nits, it's more like an emulated HDR experience. So I wouldn't expect too much from HDR content when it comes to this laptop. But nonetheless, the display does look good. If you're a fan of matte style or anti-glare screens, you'll probably feel right at home with this one. Colors are pretty good once you calibrate it, and the sharpness is actually quite good for a 1080p display. So when it comes to content consumption, I think the experience is pretty good. The Galaxy Book Odyssey ships with Windows 11 straight out of the box. This is the first laptop I've used with Windows 11 on it, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. It almost has like a Mac OS vibe to it, which I'm a fan of since I use Apple products. And overall, I think Microsoft is headed in the right direction with Windows 11. Everything seems nice, snappy, it performs really well. I'm still getting used to finding everything, but I like the experience so far. Of course, Samsung does have their own software inside of Windows 11. So if we go into the apps here, we have Samsung settings, and inside of here, you're gonna find options for connections, display, advanced features, battery and performance, and of course, keyboard. I did a video on the Galaxy Book 360 giving you some tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your Samsung laptop, and these are still applicable for the Galaxy Book Odyssey, so make sure to check out that video at the card at the top. We also have Odyssey Control. So if I go back into the apps here and then boot up Odyssey Control, this is going to be all your performance metrics and more gaming options, I would say. So under performance, we have our CPU usage, our memory size, GPU clock, and GPU memory usage. You can adjust the fan speed, GPU speed. Under Odyssey mode, we can assign different profiles depending on what we're doing. So we can have profile 1 and 2 for different gaming profiles, and then a default profile. And you can adjust the display mode from off, FPS, RTS, RPG, AOS. You can turn on and off the Dolby Atmos setting. You have black equalizer, lock Windows key, and you have your always or your on-screen display settings, which you can turn on and then modify what is being shown. So if I tap on modify, you can view things like your GPU temperature, usage, and your clock speed, GPU memory speed, usage, and your usage percent, FPS, so on and so forth. And then last but not least, we have playback, which is where you can do screen recordings and captures for gaming, or if you're doing maybe even tutorials. Not quite sure because I use OBS, but you can use the Odyssey control to do something similar. And of course, all this functions beautifully thanks to the specs of this laptop. This one in specific features the RTX 3050 Ti. We have an Intel Core i7 11th gen CPU, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a 512 gigabyte SSD. If you're wondering if anything can be upgraded, let's go ahead and flip this thing over, take off the back, and find out. To get into the back of the Galaxy Book Odyssey, you have to pop off the 2 feet on the back side right here. You can tell because they're a little bit more elevated versus these 2 front feet. These 2 in the front just have some adhesive on the other side. There are no screws whatsoever behind these 2 feet. And altogether, it's just 2 simple little screws that need to be removed. And then you have to go around and pop off the back plate very gently using like some type of plastic pry tool like this one right here. But once you get the back off, you can upgrade your SSD. So this is a 512 gigabyte SSD. Of course, you can put in anything up to 2 terabytes, I believe. And then you have a cover right here for the RAM, and you can upgrade your RAM. Okay, so let's talk about performance now when it comes to the Galaxy Book Odyssey. And to do that, we have to hit on 3 different categories. First and foremost, compute performance. To test that out, I ran a series of benchmarks. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at those benchmarks for yourself. I'm not a huge benchmark person, but I know a lot of people out there really like these, so there you go. The next category I want to cover when it comes to performance is content creation, and this is something that is more suitable for me and my line of work. I think the specs on this laptop are plenty capable. You could edit 4K video or edit high resolution photos easily. It's not the specs that hinder this laptop whatsoever. It's actually the other things like the display, for instance, not being color accurate. However, after some calibration, you can fix that. The other thing is the lack of Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 3, or USB-C 4 ports. So you can't do any expansion with this laptop, whether it's eGPU, a better display, or anything like that. Also, I get why they went with the micro SD card slot in order to expand the system storage. I get that, but if we're being real, SD card slots are much better than micro SD card slots and much more usable. Being able to take the memory card out of your camera and then just slide it right into your laptop is so much easier than connecting your camera using a cable or having to get a dock or some type of hub. Also, going back to the display, since this is a 1080p panel, if you're editing resolutions higher than 1080p for video or high resolution photos, you might notice the lack of sharpness on the display and end up over sharpening your content. That's an issue that I ran into since I'm coming from higher resolution displays on my MacBooks as well as my monitors. So that's just something to be aware of. The third category I want to cover is gaming. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and run through a few games that I played on the laptop. You could take a look at the performance for yourself, and we'll also give you an example of how well the speakers sound since these do have Dolby Atmos on board. .1080p gaming on the Galaxy Book Odyssey is going to be just fine. However, I had to make sure the settings were set to low to medium. so you're not able to game too much in high depending on the title that you're playing. So it's not the best out there, but I never really had an issue with the performance. My issue was with expandability once again. Not being able to connect a proper gaming monitor to this laptop is definitely a limitation because of the HDMI 2.0 port or the lack of Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, or USB-C 4. I really wish they would have at least stuck one Thunderbolt port on this laptop for the expandability purposes, but they didn't, and I think that really does hinder the functionality of this laptop for both content creation and gaming. All right, so let's wrap this up. The Galaxy Book Odyssey is a pretty good option from Samsung. And if you're invested in the Samsung ecosystem, like you own a Samsung smartwatch, maybe some earbuds, a smartphone, and a tablet, this laptop might be the right one for you because it ties in beautifully into that ecosystem, offering things via software like wireless file share, you have automatic cloud backups, and you can access a lot of the stuff on your phone straight from your laptop without having to connect your phone to the laptop, similar to what Apple has been doing with iCloud, the iPhone, and Mac lineup. So if you do have investments in that ecosystem, definitely check this laptop out. As for the categories that this laptop is aimed at, work and play, I think it does an adequate job at both, but I don't think it excels or exceeds in either category. And for the money, at $1,400, I think you can get a better Windows laptop than this one that can do a better job at both work and play. I would check out the Dell XPS lineup or maybe even Razer depending on the sales that are going on. You're gonna get a much better build quality in terms of laptop and probably the same if not better performance. But I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos just like this. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think of the Galaxy Book Odyssey? And other than that, I'll see you beautiful people in the next video.